got that right.
One, two. 1, 2, 3. Jeff. Let's rock.
Good Shabbos. We begin tonight on page 142 with Shalom Aleichem.
Good Shabbos, everybody. I want to say 2,100 years ago, what we have is the rise of the democratizations of Jewish sects, kind of revolting away from the temple establishment. And this is where we have the genesis of interpreting Torah. This is where we have the genesis of the Pharisees, who would become the rabbis. And soon after the destruction of the Second Temple, 70 CE, the rabbis had to make Judaism not just manageable, but doable. And this is where we have the establishment of Midrashim, we have the establishment of Mishnah, Talmud, all of the rabbinic gems that truly saved Judaism. And not only did they make it doable, manageable, but the publication of incredible discourse that happened for 2,000 years. We see this 900 years ago with the establishment of Mikra Gedolot, which is commentaries on the Tanakh. We have modern Hebrew literature. And finally, what we have today. So for many, it was scholarship that kept the Jewish spark alive despite all of the hardships that we face. But that's just one story. With scholarship comes music. And yes, we have Hebrew that unites us as a Jewish people. We have Torah that unites us as a Jewish people. And we have God that unites us as a Jewish people. But the diversities of the celebration of Jewish music is what kept Judaism alive. Contemporary Reform Jewish praxis, our music for the most part is a representation of some old, but a lot new. But we have our roots, and they're wearing them today. That was for you, Ralph. Okay. So why are we here? Is that when Cantor Winter joined our congregation and to have Dr. Sela come down from New York, we really wanted music to represent Temple Emanu-El. So for the past year, we've had these different thematic Shabbats. And tonight, it is a celebration of American Jewish music. I'm wearing my American flag socks. But some tunes you will recognize, some melodies may be new. But what's important, and Ralph has spoken about this, is the reason why we still sing it is to ensure that Judaism survives. That 100 years from now, we want us to look at all of these composers, all these arrangements, and to celebrate the beauty of what Judaism is. Some melodies, again, you will know. Some will be new, but they're really old, but they represent the fabric of this congregation and congregations in this country. And in your pulpit folder, you have your pulpit folder. You'll also have a list of composers and where they come from. Now, you'll find, I think, two cities in there that are problematic. One is Paris. Now, I think there's a Paris, New York, but it's Paris, France, and there's another one from Germany, right? It's because we really don't have American arrangements for those songs, but we had to do something. True?
You cannot hide from your roots.
Okay. Anyway, so enjoy tonight's service. We're really pleased to have Dr. Sidley come down again from New York, and we'll be back here in 2 weeks as we celebrate Shabbat across the world, and then following that, Shabbat across the universe. But it's a great pleasure to welcome Sharon Goldstein to light up the Shabbat candles. We turn to page 120.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav metzivanu lehadlik ner להדליק נר של שבת.
For those who are able, we rise together for a very special Kiddush 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Morei peri hagafen אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו למצוותיו, ורצה בנו נשמת קודשו, מאהבה וברכון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשי בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כיוונו בחרתם, ואותנו קידשתם, מכל העמים משבת קודשך, מאהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת, אמן,
We continue together at the top of page 127. And please join me. There are days we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if we're a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand and wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days we act, we care nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We turn to page 130, Psalm 95.
לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור אישנו. כי אל גדול אדוני, ומלך גדול על כל אלוהים. אשר לא הים והוא עשהו, מייבשת ידם יצרו. הוא אלוהינו, מה אנחנו אמריתו וצאן ידו.
Page 138, Lecha Dodi.
לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה.
For those who are able, we rise and face the back of the synagogue to welcome Shabbat HaMelkah.
בואי ושלום עטרת מלאה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה.
Archeti Kaddish 144.
יתגדל ויתקדש שם רבה, בעלמא תברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל מחתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן מעלמם מאמרו Amen.
146, and we rise.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMeborach
The top of page 149, we continue together. Please join me. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, for whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise you, Adonai, our God, for whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. And before we turn to page 150, as we're in the beginning of Shema and its blessings, during the high holidays, we usually get a strong request to make sure that we do the sanctification prayer. It took me about 5 seconds to realize this is the Kedusha, and this is the Edward Stark Kedusha, where we go holy, 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 where we hit the full organ. And if we didn't do that, it would mean our jobs. But we love the piece. But you're going to hear something momentarily, and you're going to guess where Stark comes into this picture. 150.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadetam Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadetam. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amecha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadetam. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu Meshoch meinu Uvkumeinu Meshoch meinu Uvkumeinu Nasiach mechukecha Meshoch meinu Uvkumeinu Nasiach mechukecha Menismach benivrei Toratecha Menismach benivrei Toratecha ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו מאורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה ובהם נגה יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Arvia Hafta, page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
You can find our Song of Redemption, Mi Chamocha, on page 158.
מלכותך ראו פניך, מוקי הים לפני משה, זה אלי, זה אלי, ענו ואמרו, Adonai Eloheinu lech shalom v'ha'amiteinu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shelomecha mitaqneinu be'etzah tova milfanecha mehoshienu למען שמך. מחסר מעלינו אויב דבר וחרב נרוב מיגון מחסר שטן מלפנינו ומאחרינו מלפנינו שמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה
You went high there. Okay. Top of page 163, we continue together. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Vishamru 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לתורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם
For those who are able, we rise together for our tefillah 166.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue together at the top of page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. We continue with our Ritzei 174.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael tfilatam be'ahava tekabel utehil ratzon tamid avotat Yisrael. Yisrael Amecha El Karov Lechol Kore'av V'nei Elavadecha Mechoneinu Shefoch Ruchacha V'techezena eineinu V'shuv נוכל לציון. ברחמים. ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו
The top of page 179, we continue together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. Make contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praise you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech hadon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech hadon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Betov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We take a few moments for private meditation.
At this moment in our service, we think of those in our community, those especially who are in need of healing of body or spirit. Temple Emanu-El, we are thinking of Barbara Edelman, Linda Applebaum, Sophia Berry, Katie Bates, Donna Berman, Chase Callahan, Harold Seitlin, Deborah Chargois, Ivy Chin, Orit Cohen, Martha Ann Eisenberg, Jerry Fields, Brenda Friedman, Marilyn Garber, Edward Goldberg, Howard Goldberg, Jeffrey Goldman, Miriam Goldstein, Laura Harwell, Josie Hatfield, Van Hazen, Evelyn Held, Donald Himmel, Corey Kessler, Bart Kolber, Sharon Lahan, Simcha Bat Chana Leah, Connor Lewis, Zane Monlik, Ron Ostreicher, Bark Petrosky, Malka Bath Urchel, Susan Schumann, Leslie Simon, Pam Huff Simpson, Laurel Smith, Memory Smith, Scott Spielberger, Chrissy St. Charles and Don St. Charles, Brenda Weinstein, Jesse Weisberg, and Lisa Whitehead. For those that are here with us, you are thinking of a loved one, a friend, someone who means so much to you, and do wish to share a name out loud, we invite you to do so by either standing or as my eyes meet yours. For those names mentioned out loud and for those names that are still in our hearts, are Misha Berach, middle of page 371. Sort of.
Mishem Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov. Mishem Berach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Before I say a few words, we're going to do a musical piece, Make a Joyful Noise, by Isidore Fried.
That wasn't in the cue sheet.
It's on the program.
Joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye
Shabbat Shalom. I must be in heaven today because I grew up listening to a lot of these melodies, as I'm sure some of you might have remembered when you were younger. But I have to tell you something very interesting. When we first discussed what type of services we were going to do, the rabbi said to me, "What do you want to do, Ralph? You can do anything." And I thought about it because I like to do things on a very intellectual level. But the rabbi also said something very interesting before when he opened the service. This is our heritage. And as I've told you many times, whether we want to or not, we cannot escape our heritage. I always wondered what it was like when my parents went to synagogue, when my grandparents went to synagogue. What were they listening to? Well, my parents and grandparents would lay die die, yam mam or whistle even. But it didn't mean anything to me because my mother really couldn't sing, and when she sang something, I always told her, "What key are you singing in?" And it was painful. I must say that, even though I loved my mother and she gave me piano lessons, the truth of the matter was it was very hard to play Name That Tune. But the reality of the situation is that this synagogue is very rich in music. And how do we know this? You see, in front of you, you have a display. And I hope after the service you will take a moment or two to look at this display. Because on this display, we have a number of things. On the left side, we have the music that we did tonight, and that's part of your program, and I'd like to talk about some of the pieces. And on the right side here, we have hymnals and prayer books, because you have Mishkan Tefillah in front of you. What was the prayer book before Mishkan Tefillah? What did it look like? It was Gates of Prayer. What was before Gates of Prayer? The Union Prayer Book. That's right. And what went with these prayer books? There was also hymnals. Okay, we don't have hymnals today, but back 100 years ago, in most synagogues, there were. And if you look at these hymnals and you look at the menus told us what we were listening to. And what do you think synagogue music was like 100 years ago? Well, of course, you're going to tell me I have no idea. But the reality is we do have an idea. And you'd be very surprised. And I've mentioned this once before also, that 100 years ago, what happened? What do you think the service was sung in? Any ideas? We just heard a piece, "Make a Joyful Noise." "Oh, may the words of thy mouth." That was mostly predominantly either in English or in German. And you will see that here because we have this all notated here. But I want to take a moment, if you will, and there's just so much to talk about, but I was told 10 minutes. Let's pull out our programs a moment, because this really is very interesting. Who some of these pieces were, who some of the composers were. We heard the first major piece tonight was the Kiddush from Kurt Weill. Does anybody know who Kurt Weill was? Who was he married to? No, this guy said no. That's right. Kurt Weill was married to Lotte Lenya, and he, in conjunction with Bertolt Brecht, wrote the Three-Penny Opera. But you may not remember that, but you may remember Bobby Darin's song, "Mac the Knife." We all remember that? That's the Three-Penny Opera, and that's Kurt Weill. Just Bobby Darin jazzing it up. Now, why is Kurt Weill so important? And really, who was Kurt Weill? Well, if you look at some of the other composers, they also may not mean names to you, like Heinrich Schallit. Who was Heinrich Schallit? He was a composer who started in Germany and came over to America. In fact, if you look at the majority of these composers, not all, I mean, you can see by the dates already, that some of these composers were born in Europe and came over to America, either before the war, during the war, or even after the war. It's important that we analyze these dates for a moment, because to compare it to an American rock and roll, okay, now, what do we know about rock and roll? Well, Danny and the Juniors did a song, "Rock and Roll is Here to Stay. It will never die. It will go down in infamy, and no one will ever know why." But after that, you had something called the British Invasion. Do we all remember what the British Invasion is? Yes, the Beatles, that's right. You can call out your favorite British, the Monkees, Petula Clark, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Hermits. We can go all night with this, but yes, the Bee Gees. But you know what? There was also the synagogue invasion. And what was the synagogue invasion? You had a lot of composers who came over, and I don't use the word cantors. Notice I've been careful about that, because there are very few on the list who are cantors. There are some, but there were some who were composers, there were some who were organists, there were some who were music directors. And together, they formed a synthesis of our tradition. Tonight, we heard the choir sing with the organ. This was predominantly the style, not only in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, but way before that. What did they use? They used the hymnals, and I hate to say like the church, but there were some synagogues that had numbers on the side, and people would follow along based on these numbers from the hymnals. That's how it was done. And what's interesting about the hymnals, as you will see, we have a timeline of hymnals. Okay, what's a hymnal? That's a good question. Has anybody ever seen what a hymnal is? Well, if you haven't, they're in front of you. The hymnals either have music and prayers. Some have a lot of Hebrew, others do not. Why is that? Because, here's a song, it's the sign of the times. Okay, it was the sign of the times. When people came over to America, what happened? What were the synagogues like back in 1776? What were they like in 1492? Nobody really knows. The truth of the matter is we sort of get an inkling about American Jewish music around 1840, because, again, that's when music, when prayer books or books came out and were part of the service. But the music was really the key thing, okay? Most synagogues back in the day did not have cantors. They had choirs, they had organs, they had not rabbis. What was another name for rabbi? What? Minister? What's another name for minister? Reverends. Okay? So if you look at the music, you will see sometimes instead of cantor, it says reverend. Now, like I said, I can go on and on and on with this. But again, it's very important to realize that our heritage really is derived from an influx of European tradition, okay? Because where did our ancestors come from? And it's not only the German tradition we have here. If we look at, for example, Max Helfman, if we look at Jacob Weinberg, if you look at Isidor Fried, you will see that they were of Eastern European descent. Also, the other thing that I want to conclude with, and I really hope that you will look at the display, is something very interesting that I noticed. If you look at this display here in front of you, you will see how important music was to the congregation. If I mentioned this number aloud, I would be shot. But in 1966, they put a Chance pipe organ in here, they updated it, and in front we actually have the contract and the price of it, okay, because it shows how important the music was. You will also see that there are other things too, special services that they did here in Birmingham. And I think that's very important, because we as Jews want to document everything. Because if we don't document everything, it will be forgotten. And the one thing we don't want to do is destroy our heritage by not keeping it alive, whether it's orally or whether it's written down. I was told I have to keep my remarks short, but I hope that after the service we can really talk more on a one-on-one basis so that I can show you some of the stuff that you can look at the music. But I do have something that I would like to share with you. Every Saturday, we read a prayer for our community. And the prayer goes as follows. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion in prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. I want to take this moment to thank our choir, which is under the leadership of Jeff McClellan, but I want to thank our cantor. And I have a little something for you. You can come on down. It's not his bar mitzvah day, but I do have a present since it is heritage, and we will leave it up here. But I think it's important. Let me get over here so we can hear. Tonight, as we said, is a Heritage Shabbat. And what does Heritage Shabbat mean? It means that we preserve our heritage. But how do we preserve our heritage? Through the teachings of our rabbi, through the leadership of our community, through our Hebrew school, or through our family tradition. What I'd like to present to you for your collection, this is the first edition Union hymnal. It's from 1897. You can see the timeline of all the rest down here. But I wrote something in here to you because it means a lot to me. To Cantor Robert Whitner, as a token of my appreciation for preserving a rich tradition of our heritage. I certainly hope you will keep this and use this in good health. It's from 1897. It's something that I hope that you will cherish, because as I've always said, and I always end my words with this, L'dor v'ador nagid gadlecha u'lenetzach netzachim. From generation, we too shall learn, we too shall come, and we too shall preserve. Shabbat Shalom. I have to say one more thing about the robes, because I'm sure I will hear it later on. These robes are very special, and so is the Atara. As I told you, we believe in preserving tradition here. Yes? It's for his sermon. Okay. So you will have to stay tuned, but can I tell him how old it is? I want you to say nothing. Nothing at all. Okay. So you'll all have to come back on Rosh Hashanah, listen to the Stark Shema, and then we will give you time to figure out who gave us this, where this is from, and why this is so important to us. Is that okay? All right, that's all I can say. Shabbat Shalom.
I just want you to know that Ralph is my dissertation advisor for my doctorate. Cantor Whitner gets books. Do you know what I get from him? Airport receipts and lift receipts. So thank you so much. And one more thing. Since you mentioned the monkeys, Michael Neesmith, what did his mother invent? And very good up there. Yes, okay. White out, the monkeys. But I don't think the monkeys were part of the British invasion, the white out, Michael Nesmith. You know, when I went to Crestline, it's Miss Neesmith. I said Nesmith. I made a monkeys joke. They had no idea what I was talking about. 586, and we rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, מגורלנו ככל המונם. מה אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
On this Shabbat, we recall the yortzites of Sandra R. Opolinsky, Louis Hyman Berry, Harold Bo Bowman Black III, Regina Flum Blutman, Ralph Brock and Ruth Brock, Jenny Chiffins, Lyman Cohn, Max Copeland, Richard Diamond, Gladys K. Evans, David T. Feidelson, Edith Gawant, Albert B. Goldsmith, Selma Virginia Goldstone, Morris William Green, Clarence Hagedorn, Alan Jack Hannon, Marie F. Harrell, A. Chief Harris, Jeanette Cypress Harris, Susie Jaffe, Louis Kaplan, Joseph Seymour Kimmerling, Dorothy Cohen, Jack Ladinsky, Alex Lightman, Myrna Landau Levine, Francis G. Levy, Marjorie Lichtenstein, James Michael Luger, Abe Loria, Nathan Meyer Marcuse, Eva Margolin, V. Hugo Marks Jr., Marjorie Abraham Meyer, Ferdinand Meyer, Ella K. Morris, Ernest Munchkazang, Lincoln Newfield, Daniel Noble, Abraham David Oppenheim, Mary Patrick, Rose Perelman, Pauline Louis Rosenfeld, Helen Rotenstreich, Dorothy Roth, Mitchell Rubenstein, Irene L. Russakoff, Max Schulman, Arnold J. Siegel, Shirley Simmons, Will Slate, Barbara Kergel Steiner, Esther G. Swedlaw, James Carl Thompson, Bertha K. Van Prague, Hyman Yassim, Joseph. Our heartfelt condolences in the recent passings of Chaim Betron, family of Maria Betron, Judith Michelson, cousin of Ginger Brooke and James Henry and Eli Brooke, Loretta Newfield, mother of Lonnie Ostro and grandmother of Sarah and Chelsea Ostro, and Judy Bricker. I know you're watching back home. You are my dear colleague from San Diego who taught me so much. You still live in California with your husband, Kent, whom I also miss. You have joined our community as an associate member for you to be part of something. And tonight, as you begin the first Shabbat of mourning, as we remember your dear mother, Molly Steinberg, I know you're watching, and may her memory forever be a blessing. This temple, even in Birmingham, will be there for you. We rise together for Motor's Kaddish 598. Yikadal v'ikadash shemei rabbah, Bilma divrach rotei v'amlich malchutei, B'chayachon of Yom Echon, Uv'chayet d'chol Beit Yisrael, B'agalah u'zman kariv v'yimru,
Amen.
Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam olamei al-maya, Yiparach, Yishtabach, Yipa'ar, Yitroman, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitalev, Yitalal, Shemei Dekudshah,
Barichu.
Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushvechata v'nechemata, damiram milma v'imru,
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru,
Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael,
v'imru, amen. Are you talking about a Okay, you have 30 seconds.
Get down.
Okay.
Since I can't talk about anything else, I will tell you very quickly that our last piece was written by Ivor Warren. His father was Chaim Basatug from England. He was one of 15 children. And just so you know, this was written in 1928. It was a piece that was dedicated to Temple Emanu-El in New York City. The Kiddush from Kurt Weill was a dedication piece commissioned by David Putterman at Park Avenue Synagogue in New York. If you have hearing aids, turn them down. This is one bombastic piece. Go for it.
Aton olam asher malach beterem kol yetzir nivra le'et nasa mechefzo kol Azai melech shemo nikra. ואם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי אלוהי רע, אדוני לי ואלוהי רע. Adonai li velo ira velo ira. Good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom. Please take a moment to look at our display. And if you have any questions, I will stand and hopefully I'll have the opportunity to say Shabbat Shalom as we all would like to.